All right, I'm sure this is gonna be easy, right? Hey YouTube, I'm back, finally. Where have I been? Well, we're gonna have a nice little conversation about that right now. No real sugarcoating this. I had cancer. I am almost 46 years old, and I just got through a pretty big battle. Probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, to be 100% honest. It was probably the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. It was super scary, and I'm here to kind of share that journey with you all and, kind of articulate all the things that I went through over the last 7 months, 8 months that I've been on this journey. So it's terrifying and it's hard. I feel like this would be good for a lot of you to hear, a lot of you to maybe even understand. And that's why I'm making this my first video back after a very long time. I'm all right now. I'm recovering. I feel better every day, getting back into my workflow after a good, 3 weeks off almost. It was pretty rough 3-month tilt there with the uncaring hoe that is cancer. What I want to do is I want to talk to you guys about what it's like to be a content creator and a streamer, and well, really anyone who's self-employed, honestly, while navigating what, like I said, is probably going to be one of the hardest things you ever deal with in your life. Some kind of health issue. It could be cancer. It could be some other kind of health issue. Whatever the case may be, it's it's something that I feel like a lot of you are going to get some good information from. This might give you the tools to kind of understand more what somebody that you care about or that you're close to is going through as they take this journey. I'm going to try and give you a little bit of understanding of what happens day to day and how any serious illness that somebody is going through is going to be something that is difficult and they're going to need you. I hadn't put a video out in a really long time over anything really because this battle has been something else. My time was monopolized since the late part of January up until now in trying to figure out what was going on and how we were going to move forward with it. Kind of explains my absence from YouTube anyway, and why I haven't put anything out, because I'm really looking forward to getting back to video game reviews, to be 100% honest. There were doctor's appointments, I had blood draws, I had imaging appointments, I had all the follow-ups I had to do. From January until April, I was in and out of multiple facilities. I was still able to stream all that time, but all of my time was going to streaming, the upkeep of the stream, my community there, and I didn't really have time to do any kind of game research and or play some games that I thought I might want to review for YouTube. I was still being able to keep up with the gym, which was fantastic. That was really good for my day-to-day, keeping up with my dog, all the other things that we do as adults in our day-to-day lives. But saying that this was a huge fight would be probably one of the biggest understatements I could give you guys right now. In spite of all that, I was still able to take a business trip to PAX East, and I'm really glad that I did. I was able to catch up with a lot of the people that I know and love from Twitch and from YouTube and some other places here on the internet. It was still incredibly stressful. It was very much something at that point in time I wasn't, really knowing exactly what was going on. We had pretty much gotten to the point where we knew it was cancer, but we didn't know what kind of cancer, didn't know what was going on. So while I was at PAX East, I was doing my best to hang out and have a good time with people, doing all the normal stuff. I was having a hard time sleeping occasionally. I was having a hard time eating. It was just the stress of the unknown is something when it comes to a serious illness or something like cancer that the person that's dealing with it is going to have to deal with. But I think it's still important that we live our lives as best as we can. So looking back on it, my time at PAX East was awesome, and I'm glad that I did it, even though I was on the precipice of something that was pretty major in my life. Seeing my friends, making some new friends, making some new contacts, which was awesome. Meeting some people in the industry was fantastic. I would have missed out if I would have just stuck my head in the sand and not followed through on this plan that I'd already made, way before I found out that I was going to be in for something that was really goddamn serious. I think that we all need to remember that none of us get out of here alive. So living our lives on our own terms is absolutely something that we have to do. So in April, kind of a little bit of a fast forward here after my trip to PAX East, I believe that was in early March or something like that, if I recall correctly. I was left with 2 courses of action. I was going to be able to do chemotherapy and radiation, which would have taken place over the course of, I would say roughly a month and a half, or the other option was to do surgery and radiation more than likely. I decided to take the surgery route. I am definitely someone who likes to take action and do it very quickly, and the surgery would be a very much get in there, get dug out what I need to get dug out, which was the cancer, and do what I needed to do next, take the steps to make sure that hopefully it would never come back. Honestly, I can't ever recall anyone that I've talked to say anything good about chemotherapy, so that's one of the reasons I avoided that one. So if any of you out there are going through this or potentially going through this, or if you know someone who may, I would definitely go the surgery route, even though the surgery kind of left me in some other bad positions, which we'll get to here in a bit. So really quick, Cliff's notes. The cancer I'm dealing with or have been dealing with is called a squamous cell carcinoma. I'm definitely reading that off of a thing that I have up here. That was brought on by HPV. If you don't know what HPV is, it is the human papilloma virus. So what is the human papilloma virus, or HPV? It's something that most of us have. It's something that a lot of us carry around, and we never have an issue with it. Our immune systems do a really good job of taking care of it to make sure that it doesn't have any real huge impact on our lives. But in my case, don't know how long I had it, don't know when it manifested. My immune system decided to give up, and as a result, I got cancer. Now, I want all of you to not sweat it. You don't have to worry about whether or not you have it. It's definitely a guessing game that you can't win about if you've ever come in contact with it or if you potentially have it. If you're really worried, please go get tested. It's mostly spread through physical contact, usually intimate contact, for any of you out there who might wonder what is going on. Most of us have usually had some form of intimate contact, and if not, you may have still encountered it somewhere. So more often than not, our bodies will fight this off. More often than not, it gets in your system. You can have it forever and ever, amen, and your body is going to be able to handle it. Nothing will ever come of this. Unfortunately, in my case, my immune system decided to go over HR's head and take the day off. As a result, the HPV decided to form some cancer back on my tongue, and that unfortunately inevitably crept down into the lymph nodes on my neck. So if you can't see the scars right there, they definitely had to dig those out as well when I talk about the surgery I went through. Now, what I really want to articulate to you guys right now, quick disclaimer, is that there is a vaccine against this. So if you're truly worried about it, please consult your doctor. Please talk to them and, ask them about the HPV vaccine. This is actually something that you can inoculate yourself against, and if you're of a certain age. So if you're my age, unfortunately, you might be a little bit too old. I'm currently 45. I'm almost 46, as I said. But it is something that you should definitely take a look at, and I will have links in the description below that you can follow to look at both of the vaccine and HPV in case you want to educate yourself on this. I would really, really, really hate to see anybody who's watching this, or anybody who's watching this and know somebody who might be going through it or think that they may have it. I would hate to see anyone ever go through what I had to go through, and we're going to get to that right now. So as I said, we had all the information in April, and then on the 1st of May of 2024, I went into the James Cancer Hospital at Ohio State University, and I went under a very major 7-hour surgery. As I noted, they went in, they cut out the back part of my tongue, which was great. They cut out one of my tonsils on the left side. They used this really cool robot called the Da Vinci machine. You should actually check it out. It's called a Da Vinci robot. They're really, really crazy looking, but it's incredible what kind of precision they can do these days when it comes to these kind of surgeries without having to be really, really invasive. It almost kind of looks like a torture device from Star Wars. I don't know how many of you might be familiar with that, but that's kind of the thing that first popped into my mind when I looked it up. So after they cut out part of my tongue and my tonsil, they also went into my neck here. You can probably a little bit see the scars right there. And they pulled out the lymph nodes on both sides. The lymph nodes on my left side had been pretty hit by the carcinoma, unfortunately. And all the stuff that they ripped out on the right side was actually done as a precaution, so that hopefully this never rears its ugly head again. It essentially came down to scorched earth, burn it all, make sure that there's absolutely nothing in there that could potentially get infected again, and see this come back in another year or so. So after the 7-hour surgery, when I finally woke up, that is when the real adventure began. I was extremely sore. I had these big drainage tubes in my neck that were about this long. You would never know looking at it. And there's like these big, they call them hand grenades. I can't remember what the technical term is for them, but I had these things around my neck, and like I said, about that much tube on both sides of my neck to get all the crap that was forming from my body after all the lymph nodes had been taken out. I could barely speak or swallow. My tongue felt like I had about 20 drinks too many. If you're a drinker, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But let's just say it was very uncomfortable, and it was definitely not good. As a bonus, I got to spend the next 3 days in the hospital. That was also a blast. Uncomfortable beds, not really great food, which it didn't really matter much anyway, because unfortunately, as a result of the surgery, I couldn't really taste a whole lot anyway. Not to mention, with that uncomfortable bed, I was never really able to find a comfortable position to lie in with, all the fresh pain of the incisions and everything else. So, it was kind of a double whammy, which was amazing. When I finally did get sleep, I was getting woken up for either medications or because they wanted to check on me, which was absolutely fantastic, because I finally felt like I could get a little bit of rest, and then suddenly it was like, boop, boop, we got to draw some blood, or we got to do something else. This all comes down to basically 0 out of 5 stars on TripAdvisor. I would not recommend this for any of you. Now, when I was finally discharged after 3 days at the hospital, it was basically just a couple weeks of recovery and me doing jack and shit. I was laying on my sofa, I was watching TV, taking care of my dog when I was able to, which I had to, no matter what. I had to get him outside. I had to make sure he was fed. It was a lot of nerve-wracking stuff as a small business owner. I wasn't able to do anything with my job, which is content creation, whether it be on Twitch or YouTube. And it was a moment in time that I can honestly say was again, probably stacking on top of one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with. Fortunately, during this like 2 weeks off, 3 weeks off almost, that I took away from doing anything on my job, I was able to do a sponsorship. If you've not played Crypt Master, you should definitely check it out. Very cool game. They were very understanding about my position, and I was still able to honor that. They still enjoyed the stream I was able to do, even though I could barely talk, but it was a lot of fun for me in the community to get back with a game that was pretty neat. So a huge shout out to those devs. They were really, really cool about, dealing with my situation and understanding what I was going through. Looking back on it, I probably should have gotten back to them and not taken it. There definitely something to be said about making money with this job, and I figured that, one, it looked like a cool game, and two, I needed the money anyway, but I should have probably let myself heal. Kind of what I'm getting at with that is that if you ever have to deal with something like this, or if you know someone who's dealing with something like this, make sure that as you go through this garbage, you give yourself some grace, or you remind that person in your life that you love to have some grace for themselves. For whatever reason, that last part got me. So thanks for sticking around. That's probably going to get edited out anyway, so who the hell cares? Yeah, take your time. Take the time to heal. Take the time to make sure that you're good. My confidence at this point in time in my journey was shot. There's no doubt about it. I can't thank the community that I have from Twitch or any of the social stuff that I do enough for helping me fight through this when I was going through it, because their support, their love, their reaching out was a huge deal. It was something that really helped me keep my head up. It had a huge impact on my mental state that was circling the drain, and it was not ideal, but I'm so incredibly thankful for all of them. And I think that anybody who goes through it, like I said, or somebody that might be going through it, they need to recognize that people will have their back, and they need to be easy on themselves as well. Now, on top of all that garbage that we just decided to talk about, I wasn't really able to eat either. So that was exciting, to say the least. Swallowing was painful even when I had Oxycontin in my system. I had some other things that I had for pain killing as well that didn't really help. I was able to do basically nothing but soft food: mashed potatoes, cream of chicken soup, protein shakes, oatmeal. Even oatmeal wasn't really a great idea from time to time, because the scratchiness of the oats, even being softened by being in the microwave with whatever I put on it, didn't really dent it, and it still actually hurt every time I swallowed. And as I said, the surgery actually killed my taste buds, or at least did a really good number on them. I was still able to taste some, but all of the things I just mentioned didn't have nearly the oomph that they normally would, which, let's be frank with one another, all of those foods aren't really known for their huge flavor profiles. I can't overstate how awful it is to have no sense of taste, and I'll probably get back to that here in a bit. After about 2 weeks, all of this started to clear, which was great. It was easier to talk. I could actually start eating other food, which was amazing. I was able to get back to the gym, which is huge to me. It was good to be able to get back to work as well, because I love the content creation. Unfortunately, I was still going through a lot of other stuff, so I still wasn't able to record a video for something like YouTube, but at least I was able to stream and get back to entertaining people, which is what I truly love. After the surgery, I had appointments pretty much every week, so there was always a follow-up for one thing or another, whether it was the healing or getting other things managed, getting the plans laid down for the next step, which, if you're not picking what I'm laying down, that's where the radiation comes in. And if it wasn't for an obligation that I had in the middle of June, I would have actually been starting the radiation probably right about the end of May, so only about a month after the surgery, and only a couple weeks after I was fully recovered from said surgery. So, as June 15th of 2024 rolled around, it was time. It was my first session of getting zapped with the same stuff that you see outside every day, the sun. It is literally the same kind of radiation. I cracked a joke with my, healthcare provider about that. I was like, man, it feels kind of like it's the sun hitting me. And he was like, you know what? Funny enough, that is exactly what it is. So we were doing the radiation to, like I said before, kind of kill any of the stragglers that might be hanging out in my mouth or around the lymph node area that had been affected by the HPV carcinoma. The first couple weeks of radiation weren't so bad, everyone. I can honestly say I thought it was going to be pretty easy sailing. Those first couple weeks, I felt a little bit drained. It wasn't really a big deal. Kind of like I mentioned, it felt like I was a little bit sunburned. Got a little bit too much sun, felt a little worn out. You know what I'm talking about. You spend too long at the pool or something one day, you're feeling a little bit worn down. You sleep really well that night, but that was essentially me every day. I was still able to do most of the stuff I could normally do. Normally take care of my dog, eating a lot of the same food. Towards the end of that second week, though, I knew that something was coming down the pipe, because at that point, my taste had been completely nuked. It was gone. I couldn't taste anything anymore. And then unfortunately, at the start of the third week, that's where things got a little bit more interesting. As I started back on the third week, my taste was completely gone. The weekend that transpired between the end of my sessions the second week and the start of my sessions the third week completely destroyed my taste buds. Outside of that, my energy level completely tanked. I was no longer able to go to the gym, and things just started getting really miserable. For a little bit of context about the taste as well, I just want you to imagine what a wad of unsalted, unflavored dough might taste like, and that's what everything I put in my mouth tastes like right now. Still, even to this day. I am 3 weeks post my radiation. It's been 3 weeks since I actually, stopped, and I still can't taste anything. And everything I put in my mouth, it may as well be air or dirt or mud because it has no flavor. And I, once again, cannot tell you enough how miserable that actually is. Now, not only was I not able to taste anything after that second week, but it started, getting to the point where I was manifesting a bunch of sores. So no matter where it was in my mouth, it could be on my tongue, it could be on my gums, or it could be back in the start of my throat. Right where your mouth ends and you get the little dangly thing, the uvula, and that's where your esophagus starts. There was always a sore somewhere in my mouth, starting with the third week. I just need to let you know that every time you drink or eat something and there is excruciating pain associated with it, trying to make sure that your nutrition stays up and you're getting the stuff in your body that you need to rebuild it becomes an incredibly, incredibly miserable experience. I suggest that if you are going through that, or if you know someone who's going through that, just be there for them. Let them know that you got their back, that it will eventually get better, and that it's just hard right now. But do everything you can to try to bolster their spirits, because it sucks. After that third week, as all this other stuff started to develop, I actually got to a point where it was becoming too hard to even talk. The mouth sores were so bad. The things that were going on in my mouth and throat were so excruciatingly painful that even talking became something that I didn't want to do. Even when I could and when I would try to talk, more often than not, people couldn't understand me because it was so hard to articulate anything without it just either killing me or because my mouth just didn't want to cooperate. Now, somehow, some way, I was actually able to maintain stream through this entire thing. And I'm really, really glad that I did. So this goes out to any of you who might ever have to do this, who are running your own business, or if you're doing a stream thing or content creation or anything really, or know someone who is. Try to make sure that you do continue to do it, or the person that you love continues to do it, because if they find joy in it, it's going to help them a lot. Now, what was I actually using if I couldn't talk? I'm hitting your live streaming, and the whole thing about live streaming is communicating with the people that you're trying to entertain. I was using MS Paint. I was using a system of typing about what I was trying to articulate to anybody who I was talking to in chat, which eventually turned into me using a live reader program that it was an AI generated voice that I could type in and hit play so people didn't necessarily have to read it and they could just hear it. I can't let you guys know enough that having people there to talk to and see you through these really hard days, like when you're just trying to do your job normally, it helped me so much because my brain was circling the drain. I was not having a good time. I wanted to quit. I didn't want to continue my radiation. But having people there day in and day out was huge. And it wasn't ideal. I still can't thank all of the people who continued to come out to support me enough, or people who were even DMing me or talking to me. So again, any of you who are going through this, cherish those people. If you're one of those people and you know someone who's going through this, just let them know that you care, because it helps so fucking much. So fortunately, after this third week and all these shenanigans started, I was able to keep it up for the next 3 weeks somehow. The streams didn't last as long. I had to skip days sometimes. I could only stream for maybe 3.5 or 4 hours tops before I was just absolutely wrecked. But to be perfectly honest, guys, I had to. And if you know somebody who's going through this, they may have to as well, particularly if you're in the United States of America. It's no big secret. I'm sure that you all know it's no big secret that our healthcare system here in the United States is a fucking disaster. It is a joke. If you're somewhere else and you're going through this, or if you're somewhere else and you know someone who's going through this, they're probably going to have an easier time. But we all know that here in the US, you have to keep working even when you're sick because of the nature of our society right now. And as much as I hate to say that, I think we all know it's just fucking true. As a really quick side note, if any of you would like to know exactly how much money I've had to put into this so far to date, after looking at all my insurance, I would have been out at least $170,000 to this point. By the time we finally got through these next 3 weeks and I was trying to get to the end of my radiation, I would need to be completely honest and say that my confidence was pretty much shot. I, at this point, felt like I was letting everyone down around me. I feel like I was letting people who had been there for me down. I feel like I was letting those who look to me for entertainment and fun every day down. And I didn't know if people would want to come back when I finally got towards the end of this, because I knew the time was coming where I was going to have to take more time off. Would I be an afterthought? I think this happens with a lot of streamers. I sincerely love creating content that I hope people find entertaining or informative, and I feel like I'm incredibly lucky to be able to do this, especially at my age, being almost 46 years old, and I know that this is usually a kid's game when it comes down to content creation. I seriously don't want to stop doing it. I don't ever want to stop doing it, but it was a very real thought going through my mind at this point in time, as I knew I was getting to the end of my radiation, and I knew I was on the back end of some really serious shit, and I was in bad shape. So with that being said, with all the confidence shaken, with all the people still being there for me, with all these negative thoughts, I finally wrapped up my cancer radiation on July 31st, 2024. I was a mess. The day of my last radiation appointment, like when I finally got out there, I was wrecked. I had to take the next week and a half completely off. As nerve-wracking as that was, I had no choice. My mouth and throat sores were absolutely the worst they had been the entire time. I was kind of hoping that as we got to the end of radiation, they were going to start maybe tapering off a little bit. I don't know why in the hell I thought that, but it was not the case. My energy level was completely gone. There was nothing I could do. My days consisted of waking up, taking care of the dog, and laying on the couch most of the day, trying to get maybe on the computer every once in a while to play a game or two, just to keep myself going, just to keep myself from just sitting on the couch the entire time and feeling like a complete piece of garbage. My neck and my upper chest looked like I had been cooked in the sun for about 3 days straight. Skin was sloughing off. It was leaving what were basically almost completely open sores on my neck and my upper chest area. And it wasn't really a fun thing. It felt like every time I moved, every time I turned my neck, that my skin was just going to tear open and start bleeding at any moment. So what did I do for that week and a half? The Olympics were going on, so that was a bright side. They kept me company the entire time. The people who were in my Discord community from all the different places I have grown what I have been able to do here with this content creation for the last 7 years, from Twitch, YouTube, other social media sites. Those people were absolutely amazing. My dog was huge. He was by me all the time. And of course, my real life friends. My real life friends were awesome. You know, they did what they could. They dropped in when they could. They wanted to make sure I was good. They wanted me to come over, and I was like, I can't really do that. I'm wasted. I would be useless. I would come over to your house and I would crash on your couch, and that would be a long story short. Essentially, the next 10 days, they felt like a month. Finally, after that week and a half, I was able to get back to doing this. As of this recording, it's actually been 2.5 weeks. When I initially sat down and started writing some of this out, it was a week and a half post, and now it's 2.5 weeks. And I am finally back on the horse, kind of, sort of, for the most part. It's been a long 8 months, and I can't sugarcoat it. It's been nerve-wracking and miserable pretty much the entire goddamn time, outside of the small shreds of joy I could find from all the things that I've told you about, from my dog, my friends, my community, being able to stream still. It was huge to get all this behind me. It's just been a long road. You know, my doctor, I went in for a routine checkup for something else, finding a lump on my throat, telling me that that shouldn't be there. Then finally getting tests done, to figuring out the action plan that we just all went over, and to all the things that we just talked about up to this point. I think I need to tell you guys that this has all provided me with a new outlook, and there's a really good chance that if you're watching this and going through something very similar, or know somebody who's going through something very similar, that their outlook is probably going to change a little bit too. Before all this happened, I spent most of my time and my energy completely consumed with my stream and content creation. I still am very much committed to this and my future with it because I love it. I want to do it until I'm dead. I want that death to be a very long time from now if this cancer doesn't come back and kill me, because I will be honest, I am probably never going to go through all the shit that I just went through again if I can help it. I found out that it's going to be very important moving forward that I live a little bit more. I need to do more of the things that I want to do, things that really mean something in life. This actually means something. To me, it means something, creating content, entertaining people on the internet. It brings me joy. It fulfills me to a degree. But I also know that there's other things going on too. I need to do more than content creation. I need to hang out with my dog. I need to see my friends a little bit more. I lost a dog before all this happened. I left a marriage that I was unhappy in before all this happened. And I found out in that time that I had been spending so much time on this as a job that I wasn't really stopping to do some of the things that really mean something as we go through life. So what else does this include? It includes me putting out more on YouTube, because even before all this happened, I wasn't as consistent with it as I wanted to be. I was doing some of the game reviews and I was having a great time with them, but I wasn't taking the time. So I'm actually going to not be streaming as much. I'm only going to stream 4 days a week, take a day like today where I focus on my content creation in other places. And then on another day, like Thursday, for example, when I'm off, I'm going to be doing all my real life stuff. You guys know how it is. You have things that you need to take care of day to day. You have things that need to happen around your place where you live. You might want to take your dog to the park. You might want to do something else. But you have to make the time to do all these other responsibilities that you're definitely on the hook for. Which also leads me with the 7th day of actually not doing anything, guys. And I think that all of you need to realize that. Try to make time, please, to do something that you want to do on a day that doesn't include your goddamn job. I look at all of what I'm telling you guys right now, and I kind of realize that this video isn't necessarily just about how to navigate content creation or any job or small business while you deal with something very major, but it's also kind of a cautionary tale. Do not mortgage all your time into chasing the dragon. Take some time for yourself, guys. Don't get down about it if you don't. Make sure that you know that you don't have to be omnipresent with anything that you do in your life when it comes to work. What you do need to remember is that you aren't really that easily forgotten by people either. All of these folks that have your back, all of these people that you might entertain on a day-to-day basis, all these people that consume the content that you might create, or these people that love you at your job, or these people that you know through the job that you actually own and operate, they're not going to forget you. You impact these people every day of your life. So long as you're not a huge asshole, they're probably not going to wish anything bad on you, and they're definitely going to want to see you pull through it. Make sure that you're okay with turning to these people that love you too. Have them listen to you, and they will be more than happy to do it. And don't feel bad about getting a hold of them because you need to talk. Shockingly enough, some of the folks that may not even be that close to you, they're going to be okay with it too. This has been a long enough video. As of right now, it's 40 minutes of raw footage, and I bet that my editor is going to hate themselves for having to parse through it, even though I know they love their job. And I'm hoping it's only going to be a 20-minute video or so. Maybe, tops. And if you're hanging around this long, God love you. I sincerely appreciate it. But as I close this video, things aren't still back to normal, guys. I still haven't made it back to the gym. I'm really kind of hoping to do that next week. My energy level is still lower. I don't really have the energy I once did, which really sucks, which is also kind of impacting my returning to the gym. I can't stream for as long as I used to. Also part of the energy thing. I used to stream for 6.5 or 7 hours. Now I'm lucky if I can make it to 5 or 5.5 more often than not. My sense of taste is still completely nuked as well as of today. I know I've mentioned that for, what, I don't know, 3 or 4 times now. And not being able to taste anything is not something that any of you ever want to deal with. And trust me when I say that. I'm also still working on finding that balance that I just mentioned that will actually allow me to live a complete life. As I mentioned, I'm committed to it though, to put out good content for you all, bring some information, like I said, and some entertainment, but to also make sure that I'm happy and fulfilled. I got to make sure that my dog is happy and fulfilled as well, because he's been through me with all this and he deserves a lot more of my time and attention as well. Just get out there and do it, guys. Again, you could be somebody who's dealing with this or getting ready to deal with this, or you could be someone who knows someone who is, or even if you're not any of those, like if you're just some person out there. Don't let things get you down too hard, guys. Take risks. Don't be afraid. Get out and live your life. That's absolutely what I'm going to be doing from now on after getting through what, again, has been the hardest thing in my life. I'm really hoping that I've given you guys all some information about how to look at this and how to navigate through this. And I kind of look back on it and I wonder if there's anything that I could even impart on all of you with my knowledge now afterwards. The only thing that I can really say is just make sure that you're okay with giving yourself grace and that you're okay with being there for the people that are going through it if you're not the one going through it. And also just know that you can reach out to those people at any given point in time. Thanks for tuning in. I hope that you all enjoyed this outpouring of real, and I'd love it if you gave it a like. I would really like to see this one get out there so a lot more people find it, especially if they're going through it. I want to bring my love for entertainment and my love for trying to have, you know, a good conversation with people, giving them good information to as many folks on YouTube as possible. And if you like this, I'm sure that a lot more people will end up seeing it. So I know with your help, I can make that possible. I guess on a lighter note, I'll be back to game reviews again in a few weeks. This was the first thing I wanted to come back with on YouTube because I know a lot of people had questions about what I went through, how it was, you know, what kind of information I can impart on them as someone who's gone through a very, very difficult thing. So make sure that you guys subscribe and like and come back if you aren't already a subscriber. I don't know how many people are going to chance upon this or not, but I'll be getting back to those game reviews. I'm sure that you will be continuing to see the ridiculous clips that my community takes of me as I'm live streaming. And, you know, you get to see all of the absolute dumb shit that I do on a day-to-day basis as a content creator. If you think someone might actually find this video useful, please impart this to them as well, because I really hope to let them know that things are going to get better and things are not going to be as bad as they probably could be every day of their lives. There is light at the end of the tunnel for sure. So if you're one of the people that have found this because you're going through this hard battle, or if you are looking around on the internet because you know someone who's going through this very difficult battle, remember, it's not always going to be uphill, and that it's going to be probably harder than anything you've ever done in your life. Any serious illness is always going to trend to be one of the hardest things that you are ever going to have to do. But please, 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 no matter what you're thinking, no matter what you're going through at that point in time, because you might be thinking it, do not throw in the towel. You got it. You can get through it, and things will get better. And you owe it to yourself to show an uncaring force of nature that it can't have you. I'll see you soon, fam.